American Comics. Infinite Evolution, cut off at the beginning. White Queen. Chapter 31. Erica. Stick Man. Two unfamiliar names appeared in the tavern. Emma and Natasha Romanoff looked at each other. They didn't know who the two people Matt was talking about were. But Su Ming knew it very well. Erica is Matt's ex-girlfriend, and Stickman is Matt's master. Su Ming still knew something about these two people. The organization that Erica is currently loyal to is probably the Hand, while Stickman leads the True Pure Society. The main purpose of the Shinsenkai is to hunt the beasts of the Hand. The existence of the beast is very powerful. He is a primitive demon in the Marvel Universe. He is very powerful and can resist the hellfire and eye of judgment of the Ghost Rider. What's even more stupid is that the beast can even absorb the hellfire of the Ghost Rider, which can be regarded as a villain that can restrain the Ghost Rider. Although the strength of the beast is so extraordinary, it is not omnipotent. Its power must rely on a specific medium, a carrier that can carry its terrifying power. It must descend into a certain carrier before it can exert its terrifying strength. Matt, have you met the Hand? Su Ming suddenly said the name of an organization out of nowhere. As soon as the name came out, the atmosphere in the tavern instantly became tense. Matt and Natasha Romanoff both reacted to the name. Because Matt had just been attacked by the Hand, he naturally had personal experience and knowledge of this organization. And Natasha Romanoff, as the top agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., has an extremely clear understanding of the Hand. The Hand is an ancient and mysterious organization whose history can be traced back to the origins of Hydra. In the 16th century, it had developed into an international assassination organization, and its shadow was more or less present in assassinations around the world. It is said that the members of the Hand are all masters with special skills. They are proficient in various skills such as unarmed combat, swordsmanship, disguise, escape, medicine, and blasting. What's even more bizarre is the rumor that they even master the secrets of magic and can resurrect the decedent. Although no conclusive evidence has been obtained, it makes people full of awe and fear of this organization. Natasha Romanoff's eyes flashed with complicated emotions. She knew that S.H.I.E.L.D. had tried to infiltrate this organization many times, but the undercover agents they sent disappeared without a trace for various bizarre reasons. This gave them a deeper understanding and vigilance of the Hand's strength and methods. But what she didn't expect was that the Hand would appear in New York. Her eyes turned to Matt involuntarily, with a trace of doubt in her eyes. Could it be that the appearance of this person led the Hand to this place? Matt looked at Su Ming in shock, as if he had heard something incredible. Su, you know about the Hand. There was a tremor in his voice, and he was obviously shocked by Su Ming's understanding. Su Ming nodded slightly, his tone calm and firm. Yes, not only do I know, I also have some research on this organization. After hearing this, Matt opened his mouth, as if he had many questions he wanted to ask, but he didn't know where to start. However, Su Ming interrupted him at the right time. Okay, Matt, let's not rush for now. I have a few questions that I really want to know. Hearing this, Matt nodded slightly and sat on the sofa obediently, waiting for Su Ming to ask questions. First of all, what exactly is going on with Erica and Gunsu? As far as I know, Gunsu can control the existence of Raging Logan. How could he die so easily? Su Ming's words were full of doubts, and he was waiting for Matt's answer. This started a few weeks ago. Matt spoke slowly, with a trace of bitterness flashing in his eyes. That day, after I left your place, I received a message from Erica. Su Ming looked at Matt and said helplessly. Then, you couldn't wait to find her, right? Matt scratched his head in embarrassment. Actually, I didn't want to go. Okay, don't explain. Su Ming waved his hand and interrupted Matt's words. Go on, what happened next? Matt took a deep breath and continued. After we met, Erica said she was having a little trouble. She wanted to break away from the Hand, but the Hand refused to let her go. So, I helped her fight against the ninjas who came to hunt her. Su Ming held his chin and listened carefully. Then the stick man came. Tay's voice deepened, and a bitter smile appeared on his face again. However, Stickman is not here to help us, he is here to kill Erica. He claimed that Erica was a carrier of some kind of beast, and must be eradicated. No matter how much I tried to persuade him, Gunsu ignored him. Just when we were having an inextricable fight with the stick man, the hand suddenly appeared. But their target is not Erika, but stick man. At this point, Matt sighed helplessly and fell silent. In other words, Gunsu died at the hands of the hand, right? Su Ming touched his chin and asked. Yes. What about Erika? Where is she now? Su Ming looked at Matt and asked doubtfully. Erika was injured. She is currently recuperating in the house I rented. Matt was silent for a few seconds before speaking. Then do you know that you are actually being followed by the hand? What? When Matt heard this, his face was filled with confusion. However, as soon as Su Ming finished speaking, the atmosphere in the originally warm tavern suddenly changed, becoming gloomy and depressing. Immediately afterwards, from all the dark corners of the tavern, countless red-clothed ninjas slowly rose like ghosts, and their figures looked particularly eerie under the dim light. These ninjas are dressed in uniform red ninja combat uniforms, their movements are uniform, and their eyes are as cold as knives. They are like well-trained killing machines, ready to launch fatal attacks at any time. Seeing the sudden appearance of the hand ninja, Matt immediately thought of Erika. If he had been followed from the beginning, then Erika was in a very dangerous situation now. At this critical moment, before Matt could make any reaction, the red-clothed ninjas couldn't wait to launch their offensive. Hidden weapons were like dense raindrops, whizzing toward Su Ming and others from every corner of the tavern, bringing with them a deadly chill. However, these hand ninjas obviously underestimated the strength of the opponents they were about to face. Facing the overwhelming number of hidden weapons, Su Ming just clicked casually. Time seemed to freeze at this moment. All the hidden weapons seemed to be pulled by invisible forces, suspended in midair, unable to move. Su Ming had a calm smile on his face. He gently turned his fingertips, and the deadly hidden weapons instantly changed direction, like arrows from the string, returning to the original path and shooting towards their owners. I wonder if you have the wrong opponent. The whisper of Death God sounded at this moment. Urgent. 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 Facing the weapons he had just thrown, these weapons unexpectedly reversed direction, as if being pulled by some mysterious force, and rushed towards the thrower himself. This sudden change brought some shock to even those experienced hand ninjas. However, as well-trained and battle-experienced killing warriors, the ninjas of the hand quickly recovered from the shock. With years of actual combat experience, they instinctively reached out in an attempt to intercept the returning hidden weapons. But their predictions obviously underestimated the power of these weapons. With the incredible blessing of the Phoenix power, these originally ordinary hidden weapons have now turned into deadly weapons. Their speed and power are far beyond what they were when they were thrown, reaching an almost unbelievable level. In the midst of this flash of lightning, 4 ninjas screamed and fell into a pool of blood. Their eyes widened, full of unwillingness. The hidden weapon penetrated their armor, tore their muscles, and finally embedded itself deeply into the hard ground, leaving behind shocking wounds. The air was filled with a strong smell of blood, reminding everyone present that this battle was far from a child's play, but a battle between life and death. Seeing this scene, the ninjas of the hand quickly adjusted their tactics, like ghosts in the night, looking for cover, trying to take advantage of the environment to reverse the situation of the battle. Some ninjas jumped up to the rafters nimbly, blending into the embrace of darkness, quietly waiting for the best time to attack. Other ninjas cleverly hide behind cabinets, cupboards and other bunkers. They know that as ninjas, sneak attacks and concealment are their best fighting methods. However, what they did not expect was that the enemy they faced today was far from ordinary. Natasha Romanoff, the top agent of Serpentine Shield, Emma Grace Frost, an Omega-level mutant. Not to mention that there is a bug-level existence like Su Ming. In addition, his Phoenix power was strengthened just a few minutes ago. In addition, there is a seemingly inconspicuous, cute pet, a yellow-skinned mouse. Don't be fooled by its appearance. This seemingly harmless little guy can actually release an electric shock of up to 100,000 volts, which is enough to make any ordinary creature lose its combat effectiveness in an instant. Needless to say, the battle of life and death, the two sides immediately fell into a fierce confrontation. Natasha Romanoff relied on her superb, scissor kick, stunt to instantly subdue 2 ninjas to the ground. The swift and violent movements were breathtaking. Emma used her powerful telepathy ability to silently control several hand ninjas, causing them to fall into the chaos of killing each other. The scene was once very chaotic. As for Lord Mouse, this seemingly inconspicuous little guy shuttled through the tavern like golden lightning, leaving behind a string of scorched black marks wherever he passed. Those ninjas who were unfortunate enough to be hit by the electric shock had already become charred under the raging current, and the air was filled with a pungent burnt aroma. Matt relied on his extraordinary skills and amazing fighting ability to fight fiercely with several hand ninjas. However, these ninjas have the strange ability to control their own heartbeats and breathing, making it impossible for Matt to accurately determine their location through hearing. Only when they launched their attack, Matt was able to barely catch their traces with his keen intuition and reaction. This undoubtedly caused him a lot of trouble, but don't forget that there is another person in the tavern, and that is Su Ming. Just a few weeks ago, Su Ming acquired mixed martial arts through signing in, and this battle in front of him provided him with a rare opportunity to practice. His physical condition had already been initially strengthened by the super serum, and he later experienced 2 baptisms of the Phoenix power, which brought his physical fitness to an unprecedented height. In addition, his skeleton is made of adamantium metal, which is as indestructible as Wolverine. As for the power of his punch at this moment, even he himself could not estimate it. When Su Ming aimed at a ninja and punched him without hesitation, the ninja instinctively raised his hands to protect his chest, trying to resist the sudden attack. However, he never expected that the power of Su Ming's punch was far beyond what he could bear. With a bang sound, the ninja was punched away like a sandbag. The whole person flew up high, and it was a free experience of human free fall, but it was a pity that it took one's life to bear it. With this punch, Su Ming directly made the opponent sleep forever. Seeing this scene, the chaotic fighting in the tavern all stopped. Everyone looked at Su Ming with eyes full of disbelief. That look seemed to say, what kind of monster is this? Only Matt was a little confused. He only knew that the fighting had stopped, but he didn't know why. At this moment, a ninja leader spoke, his voice carrying unquestionable majesty. Hello, tavern owner, do you know what you are doing? You are now protecting someone our organization wants to kill. Single quote. Do you know that if you offend our organization, your future life will not be stable? This naked threat, uttered from his mouth, seemed to carry heavy pressure, and the atmosphere in the entire tavern instantly solidified. However, Su Ming himself took out his ears with his hands and then said, well, the 2 races I hate the most in my life are black people and cherry blossom people. And the role of you Sakura people is to shoot love action movies. As for your organization, I know it is the hand. Don't talk about the future, even if I let your 5 fingers lead me here now, it will be over if I don't beat him. Su Ming looked at the ninja leader with an indifferent expression. The Hand, an organization that can stand up to the heavens and is at the level of the Father, does not include the arrival of the Beast. If the Beast has not arrived, it will be a bunch of little Kayla rice. What's more, he now has 2 Phoenix fragments. Su Ming now even dares to go to the Ancient One to drink some tea and discuss the law of time together. Baga. The ninja leader was obviously angry when he heard that his nation and organization were insulted. He made a gesture casually, and then said, kill them all, leaving no one behind. But will Su Ming spoil him? Absolutely not. In an instant, the power of the golden phoenix spurted out from Su Ming's body, and the fiery energy shot directly into the sky. Kill them all, leaving no one alive. Haha, I should be the one to say this to you. Su Ming sneered and disappeared instantly. When Su Ming appeared again, he was already behind the leading ninja. Pissed. Su Ming was like a black tiger pulling out the heart. The living heart kept beating in his hands, as if he hadn't realized that it had been separated from the body. At the last moment, the leading ninja took a hard look at Su Ming. He didn't seem to understand until his death that he just died like this. But what he didn't understand even more was what kind of monster the Hand organization had provoked. Seeing this, the other ninjas took out the katana behind them, and they were ready to die. Because their mission has not yet been completed, which is to take the life of Matt Murdock. Only if this guy dies will the saint of their hand, Miss Erica, be free from worries. As long as the saint has no worries, the beast they believe in can come into her body without any hindrance. By then, their hand organization will become the most powerful organization on the planet. This is the common dream and pursuit of all members of the Hand. But what they never expected was that the world was not as simple as they imagined. Because there are too many people with super abilities in this world, maybe they will run into a tough problem. And the result of encountering a tough situation is destruction. Unfortunately, today the hand will hit a brick wall. This is not only an iron plate, but also an iron plate that can cheat. Boom. The moment Su Ming eliminated the leading ninja, an even more powerful energy wave surged out of his body. His whole body slowly flew up under the influence of the power of the phoenix, and his whole body was wrapped in a layer of blazing flames. There seemed to be a shadow of a phoenix flying high in the flames, exuding an awe-inspiring aura. This power not only made the ninjas of the hand fearful, but even Natasha Romanoff and Emma couldn't help but feel palpitations. This was the first time for Natasha Romanoff to see Su Ming in this state. But in the memory of her mind, she had never seen such a powerful mutant. The information in S.H.I.E.L.D. has no record of such a powerful mutant. Nowadays, the mutants who have brought the greatest disaster to the world are at the level of Magneto. But in front of Su Ming, Natasha Romanoff suddenly felt that Magneto was only as strong as a younger brother. As for Emma, she looked at Su Ming with admiration. Although she was the first person to know that Su Ming was very strong. But she didn't expect Su Ming to be so strong. This godlike posture is simply the legendary God. Although Su Ming's state seemed very sudden, as if he was at full strength. But they never expected that Su Ming only used 20% of his power at this time. If he used all his firepower, this tavern would be reduced to ashes in an instant. However, facing such a powerful enemy, the ninjas of the hand did not flinch. They held katana and charged towards Su Ming with a roar. It seems that they themselves know that this is their last battle. In response, Su Ming simply waved his hand, and the phoenix power passed by them gently. In an instant, all the ninjas were reduced to ashes. There is no earth-shattering momentum, nor the pleasure of punching to the flesh. With just a simple wave of his hand, the ninja army was destroyed in an instant. This is the power of destruction in the Phoenix Force. A few moments after successfully eliminating the ninjas from the hand, Su Ming and others sat leisurely on the soft sofas in the tavern, gently shaking their wine glasses and feeling the tranquility for a moment. Only Matt was still in deep shock, as if he had just woken up from a dream. As the last person to realize Su Ming's true strength, his heart was filled with unspeakable surprise. Although he has known Su Ming for a year, Matt has always regarded Su Ming as a powerful tavern owner. He never expected that Su Ming could completely defeat the entire hand ninja team by himself. This shock made him re-examine his understanding of Su Ming, and realize that his assessment of Su Ming's strength was far from enough. Su, thank you. Matt raised the whiskey in his hand and said gratefully. You're welcome, my brother. Su Ming clinked glasses with Matt. Then, Su Ming turned his eyes to Natasha Romanoff, with a playful smile on his lips. Ms. Natasha Romanoff Rochman, should you explain how you dealt with and defeated those ninjas on your own? Or should I call you Natasha Romanoff Agent? As Su Ming's words fell gently, the air in the tavern seemed to freeze instantly. Natasha Romanoff casually smoothed her hair that fell in front of her forehead, looking directly at Su Ming with curiosity and inquiry in her eyes. Tell me, where did I expose my flaw? There was a trace of confusion in her voice. I think I act cautiously and don't leave too many traces for speculation. How did you find out my identity? Natasha Romanoff's eyes were locked on Su Ming's face, waiting for his answer. Su Ming smiled slightly and said calmly, actually, I knew your identity from the beginning. Oh my gosh. When Natasha Romanoff heard this, she couldn't help but smile bitterly, and there was an indescribable complex emotion in her heart. I had been lurking next to Su Ming for so long. I thought I was perfectly hidden, but I didn't expect that the other party had already figured out my true identity. This feeling of being completely seen through made her feel like a joker. However, just as she was about to ask further, the tavern suddenly shook violently, as if something huge was about to move underground. Su Ming and others quickly opened the door and arrived outside the tavern. Everyone was surprised to find that a huge mechanical rhinoceros was emerging from the ground and roaring towards the tavern, carrying an unstoppable aura of destruction. I saw the mechanical rhinoceros approaching at an alarming speed, huge amounts of body trampling deep ravines on the ground, dust flying, and menacing. Boom. In the end, the mechanical rhinoceros suddenly stopped just 1 meter away from everyone, and the mask on it slowly opened, revealing the twisted and ferocious face of Alexei Saizevich. Ha 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 ha, Su Ming, I'm back again. This time, I came here specifically for you, just to avenge your shame and defeat you completely. How's it going? Do you feel the feeling of fear? Alexei's face was ferocious, and every word seemed to be squeezed out from between his teeth, full of provocation and pride. However, everyone in the tavern looked at each other, and they were a little confused. Are you here to seek death because you think you have lived too long? For this guy who seems to have no strength in his head and only has money in his eyes. Su Ming never expected that Alexei would dare to come back to seek revenge. However, judging from the exoskeleton mecha he is equipped with, he seems to have a new understanding of his own strength. It looks very much like the mecha from The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Should I praise your courage or laugh at your stupidity? Do you think you can compete with me wearing this mecha? Alexei, is your brain going crazy? Su Ming's eyes seemed to be looking at a mentally retarded person. As for Rhinoceros Alexei, although he didn't understand what brain what meant, judging from Su Ming's expression, he could feel that he had been greatly insulted. However, he was not in a hurry to refute, but instead raised a sinister smile at the corner of his mouth. He would let this mutant know that he was no longer the rhino man who only relied on brute force. Immediately afterwards, the mechanical rhinoceros man assumed an offensive stance, with all 4 feet firmly on the ground, like a rhinoceros ready to attack. Boom! With a deafening roar, the mechanical rhinoceros suddenly rushed towards Su Ming. At the same time, various missiles on the mecha were launched like raindrops. Facing the fierce attack of the mechanical rhinoceros man, Su Ming seemed unusually calm. His eyes were as calm as water, and he didn't even use the phoenix power. He planned to take this opportunity to test how strong his physical strength was. Since acquiring the phoenix power, he has been relying on this power, but has ignored the potential of his own body. And now, this mechanical rhinoceros has become an excellent training target for him. Bang! There was a deafening sound, and Su Ming and the mechanical rhinoceros collided suddenly among the lightning and flint. Su Ming firmly resisted the rhinoceros man's fierce impact with his palms, and at the same time tightly grasped the opponent's hard rhinoceros horn. The ground beneath the two of them seemed unable to withstand the huge amounts of force, and instantly collapsed. Various public facilities around him were knocked over one after another under the impact of the airwaves generated by the collision between the two. Other people in the tavern had already wisely stayed away from the fighting site. Yeah. Su Ming gritted his teeth, veins popped out on his forehead, and all the muscles on his body bulged, showing that he was enduring huge amounts of pressure. However, under this pressure, he just relied on his physical strength to lift the rhinoceros man up. In the cockpit, Alexei's eyes were full of horror, and the sight before him made him unbelievable. What happened? What exactly is going on? Alexei was completely confused, but before he could think more about it, Su Ming used a strong force and threw him and the mechanical rhinoceros out. Boom! There was a loud noise, and the mechanical rhinoceros hit the ground heavily. The heavy mecha smashed a big hole in the ground, and dust flew into the air. Squeak! The mechanical rhinoceros made a harsh sound of metal friction, followed by the sound of click. Click! The sound of machinery and gears interlacing with each other. It struggled to get up from the ground, but the scene at this time seemed a bit strange. Su Ming rubbed his slightly swollen forearm. This was because he had exploded with too much force in a short period of time and his muscles could not adapt. However, for him with the self-healing factor, this kind of loss recovery is just a matter of time. He was just enjoying the pleasure of mobilizing all his strength. As for Alexei, he has long lost his original arrogance. He began to look at Su Ming again. Looking at this man who had not been harmed in the previous impact, he couldn't help but feel an indescribable fear in his heart. Alexei even began to have the idea that he might lose. Impossible, how could I lose? With such a powerful mecha, there is no way he would lose to this mutant who only relied on physical strength. Alexei's expression became fierce and decisive again. Since I can't compete with you in terms of strength, I will use missiles to blast you to pieces. He didn't hesitate at all. Almost in an instant, he fired all the ammunition equipped on the mechanical rhinoceros, pouring down like a violent storm. Since the other party dared to cheat, he let the other party try the consequences of cheating. The missiles were like rain falling from the sky, densely bombarding Su Ming's position. Unfortunately, Alexei did not catch the slightest trace of panic in Su Ming's eyes. On the contrary, he unexpectedly caught a touch of ridicule from the other party's calm expression, as if he was dismissive of the overwhelming attack. Laugh, laugh, you won't be able to laugh anymore soon. Alexei murmured to himself as he witnessed the spectacular sight of all the missiles exploding at Su Ming's location. In an instant, the place where Su Ming stood turned into a sea of blazing fire. The fire raged like a wild dragon, swallowing Su Ming completely. Endless heat and flames rose into the sky, as if they were going to turn everything into nothing. Ha 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 ha. You were really stupid. You didn't dodge or dodge. You just stood there and took all the damage. Alexei laughed arrogantly, mocking Su Ming, who seemed to have been buried in the fire. Looking at the raging sea of fire in front of them, even Emma and others couldn't help but feel a little worried for Su Ming. They began to wonder if Su Ming was being too trusting. However, just when everyone thought that Su Ming might have perished in the sea of fire, a figure suddenly jumped up from the sea of fire, as shocking as a phoenix rising from the ashes. Bite. There was a crisp sound, which was the sound of metal in close contact with the ground. In front of everyone's eyes, a shining silver metal skeleton landed steadily. Immediately afterwards, under the unbelievable eyes of everyone, a miracle happened. Muscles, blood vessels, skin, and hair all recovered rapidly at a speed visible to the naked eye, as if time was turned back and life was reshaped. Finally, a pair of pants appeared on Su Ming out of thin air, which he temporarily transformed using the power of the phoenix. After all, it is a bit indecent for a grown man to stand naked on the street. Looking at Su Ming, who was back to his original state, Alexei felt an unprecedented fear in his heart. What kind of monster is this? There is only a skeleton left in the whole body and it can't be killed. Is this man an immortal monster? It's a pity that Su Ming will not give him a chance to take action again. Bang! Su Ming put a little force on his feet, and his whole body was launched like a cannonball. Boom! With just one punch, he penetrated the opponent's mecha. At this moment, Su Ming was like a crazy beast, frantically tearing at the opponent's mecha. It seemed that the mecha made of metal was like paper under his hands, without any resistance. Within a moment, Alexei was revealed in the cockpit. Alexei looked at the demon-like man in front of him with a pale face. He trembled and said, I know I was wrong. Please spare my life. I can do whatever you ask me to do. No, you didn't know you were wrong, you just knew you were going to die. Su Ming looked at the rhinoceros man in front of him with a calm expression. The other person had become a corpse in his eyes. Pissed, Su Ming held Alexei's head with one hand, and then with a slight exertion, he saw a head connected to the spine being pulled out by him. Before the opponent's blood could splash onto him, he used the power of the phoenix to clear it away. Emma, Natasha Romanoff and others looked at Su Ming in horror when they saw this scene. At this moment, they seemed to find that they couldn't understand their boss. However, the matter did not end there. Su Ming calmly picked up 2 stones from the ground and lightly ejected them in 2 different directions. Whoops! The 2 tiny stones were like arrows, piercing the air very quickly. One of them accurately penetrated the fuselage of a drone not far away, while the other hit a man's shoulder without any bias. This man is none other than Bullseye, who came to monitor the Rhino Man. Bullseye screamed in pain, hurriedly covered his bleeding shoulder, and fled the scene in a hurry. In fact, the stone just now was heading straight for his heart. If he hadn't dodged in time, he would have been a cold corpse by now. The moment Su Ming successfully defeated Alexei, he faintly sensed something was wrong. They seemed to have inadvertently provoked a powerful opponent. However, they did not take the initiative to provoke, and the other party had no reason to target them. At this moment, his only thought was to return as soon as possible, report all the situations here to Jin Bin, and let Jin Bin come up with countermeasures as soon as possible. At the same time, the Sanqui headquarters. Fury has been feeling uneasy since he received the news about Natasha Romanoff's identity exposure. Later, he witnessed the battle between Su Ming and the mechanical rhinoceros through a drone. To be precise, this was not an evenly matched battle, but a unilateral crushing. When he saw Su Ming rushing out of the blazing sea of fire and his self-healing power returning to its original state surprisingly quickly, Fury could no longer sit idly by. Such a powerful self-healing power actually appeared in an Omega-level mutant, which made him feel a little frightened. Among known mutants, no Omega-level mutant possesses such a powerful ability to recover. It is precisely because of the lack of this strong resilience that Fury and the top management of the beautiful country have never had too much concern about mutants. After all, no matter how powerful the mutants are, they still have powerful attack power in their hands to compete with them. The worst thing is that one life is exchanged for another. But Su Ming is completely different. His amazing recovery ability is just like Xiaoqiang of regenerative healing factor. And with his terrifying power, he is simply the legendary ultimate organism. Now, the only way Fury can think of to check Su Ming is Captain Marvel Carol Danvers. Perhaps only Carol Danvers' strength can compete with Su Ming. Apart from this, Fury racked his brains and could not find any other countermeasures that could match Su Ming. Everything seems to be at a loss, unless they can uncover the secret of the mysterious blue cube taken from Hydra. Fury has a feeling that this mysterious blue Rubik's Cube definitely contains the power to subvert everything. However, it is a pity that they have not yet reached the threshold of this power, and they do not know how to control it. Just as Fury was deep in thought about how to guard against Su Ming, suddenly, the surveillance footage from the drone stopped abruptly. His heart tightened, knowing that he had been discovered. Fury rubbed his temples helplessly, and an unprecedented pressure surged into his heart. Since he became the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., he has never encountered such a difficult person. He opened the computer heavily and clicked on the detailed information about Su Ming. After browsing, he did not hesitate to raise Su Ming's danger level from very to extreme, and solemnly wrote in the note, "This person has the power to destroy the world, so be careful, beware." Fisk Building, top floor. In sharp contrast to Fury's helplessness and headache, Wilson Fisk, also known as Jin Bing, developed a strong curiosity about Su Ming. Looking at the bullseye that had just been bandaged in front of me, my curiosity increased a bit. He had already learned from Bullseye about Alexei's unfortunate death. Kingpin was initially furious that the super soldier he had spent millions of dollars to build was so easily defeated and killed. However, as the leader of the underworld in New York, the United States and the world, he did not reach this position just by relying on brute force. He relies on his own wisdom and strategy. He knows that at some point, anger is useless. The best strategy is to use your mind calmly and think about how to remove obstacles. Although violence is the most direct way to solve problems, when you face an extremely powerful opponent, it is the wisest choice to hide your strength and wait for the moment when the opponent reveals his flaws and relaxes his vigilance, and then delivers a fatal blow. Are you sure you saw it correctly? Kingpin stood in front of the window of the building and asked Bullseye with a hint of doubt in his tone. Don't worry, boss, I'm definitely not wrong. That blind man is definitely the guy with Erica. He was the one who helped Erica escape that day, otherwise the ninjas from the Hand and I would have captured Erica. Bullseye held a knife in his hand, peeling pieces of apples, and said as he ate them. Interesting. When Kingpin heard the news, a sinister smile appeared on his lips, and he was already planning a new plan in his heart. Not long ago, Erica, the ninja in red under his command, suddenly and mysteriously disappeared without a trace. When the news came from the ninja letter from the Hand branch in the United States, he was shocked to learn that Erica had betrayed the Hand organization. As the host, he quickly sent Bullseye and Hand ninjas to join forces to hunt down Erica. However, they ultimately failed. According to Bullseye's report, Erica has helpers, 2 blind men, 1 old and 1 young. What he didn't expect was that this young man was actually at the Midnight Tavern, and he seemed to have a close relationship with Su Ming. In this case, why didn't he reveal this news to the Hand? He could easily use the ninjas of the Hand to find out how strong Su Ming was. You know, compared with a simple-minded muscular man like Alexei, the ninjas of the Hand are all strictly trained killers. Su Ming, let me see how strong you are. Regarding Su Ming, Jin Bing is prepared to adopt 2 methods. If the other party is very strong, then he will win over him and make him his friend. If the opponent's strength is not enough, then sorry, you will only be eliminated. HMPH. After Jin Bin sneered, he took out his mobile phone and prepared to contact the hand. But what he didn't know was that just a few minutes ago, Su Ming had just killed a group of ninjas in the tavern. Hell's Kitchen, Midnight Tavern. Su Ming and his group gathered around the bar of the tavern. Everyone's faces looked particularly heavy and the atmosphere was tense. Except for Su Ming, others might feel a little pressure in their hearts. But he didn't. After fighting against the mechanical rhinoceros man, he was basically able to judge his current strength position. On Earth, in addition to the Ancient One and the Ten-Ring Shu Wenwu, there is also the perfect Qin and Wanda who has mastered his own power. It is estimated that no one can completely eliminate him. Even the hidden Eternals and Namor under the sea can no longer pose a threat to him. However, a drug addict in New York may bring him a slight threat, that is Robert Reynolds, also known as the legendary Sentry, a man with the power of millions of stars. However, I haven't seen him yet, so he is probably enjoying the pleasure brought by the white powder in some nook and cranny. As for the traces left by his battle with Alexei, the Strategic Homeland Defense Attack and Logistics Support Bureau, also known as SHIELD, was responsible for cleaning up the traces. Since we have already communicated with Black Braised Eggs, we naturally have to let them show their own value. After all, he has been under surveillance for this period of time. If he doesn't let Snake and SHIELD take action, wouldn't he be at a disadvantage? Everyone waited quietly in the tavern for about 10 minutes. Suddenly, the roar of helicopters and the harsh sounds of emergency braking of various vehicles were heard outside the tavern. Immediately afterwards, the Midnight Tavern was surrounded by an elite special forces force, and the atmosphere suddenly became tense. At this time, a black off-road vehicle slowly approached, the door opened, and a one-eyed, bald man stepped out. It was Nick Fury, the director of SHIELD. Fury decided to come forward in person after careful consideration by Sanqui. Now that his surveillance plan has been discovered by the other party, he must meet with the other party directly. Because Natasha Romanoff, SHIELD's best agent besides him in years, is now in the hands of the other side. As the director of SHIELD, Fury always puts the mission as his primary goal. Between people and tasks, he values the completion of the mission more. However, Natasha Romanoff's meaning is different. Therefore, he must personally come forward to bring her back safely. As for the price to pay for this, it depends on the outcome of the subsequent negotiations between him and Su Ming. Jingle. As the doorbell rang, Fury strode in wearing his familiar fur coat. As soon as he entered the door, his eyes were attracted by Natasha Romanoff's unique style, and he couldn't help but joke. Natasha Romanoff, your outfit is really unique and perfectly fits your role as agent. Natasha Romanoff obviously didn't buy Fury's teasing, and just gave him a faint glance in response. Then, Fury unceremoniously sat across from Su Ming and said straight to the point. Okay, Mr. Su Ming, let's talk about business. He clasped his hands together and stared at Su Ming closely with one eye, as if he wanted to put pressure on the other person with his eyes. However, Su Ming didn't seem to care about Fury's gaze. He picked up the wine bottle and poured himself a glass of wine. Then he looked at Fury calmly and asked, "Would you like some?" Su Ming gently shook the wine bottle in his hand. "No, we are not allowed to drink during the mission, so let's exempt it for now." Fury rejected Su Ming's proposal. Oh well. Since he didn't want it, Su Ming didn't force it. He picked up the wine glass and took a shallow sip, appearing calm and composed. Seeing Su Ming's calm and composed appearance, Fury couldn't help but feel a little anxious. He looked directly at Su Ming, with a hint of threat in his tone. "I think you haven't figured out what you're doing yet." Fury looked directly at Su Ming and asked with a hint of threat. "Oh, what am I doing?" Su Ming asked, pretending to be confused, and the corner of his mouth curved into a smile. "Aren't you drinking? SHIELD even needs to take care of this." Su Ming deliberately provoked, shaking the wine glass gently. Fury was obviously extremely dissatisfied with Su Ming's response. He said in a deep voice, "That's enough. I'm not here to chat with you today. Let's get straight to the point." As he spoke, Fury took out a black mechanical ring from his pocket and placed it heavily on the table. He said seriously, "After SHIELD's evaluation, you are regarded as an extremely dangerous mutant, who may bring huge amounts of threats to this country and even the world. Therefore, SHIELD has decided to keep you under close surveillance 24 hours a day. Now, you just put on this device and leave with us. Quote. Fury behaves like a policeman arresting a criminal. This made Natasha Romanoff on the side feel nervous. She felt that something was wrong. With Fury's wisdom, there was no way he could make such a reckless decision. How could he choose such a despicable method? Isn't he afraid of angering Su Ming? What if I say yes? Su Ming looked directly at Nick Fury and asked in a cold tone. Then you will face a full-scale arrest operation by SHIELD. Fury said, leaning on the sofa, as if he wanted to show off the strength of their SHIELD. It's a pity that Su Ming has already understood the strength of SHIELD and doesn't like Fury at all. A full-scale capture operation of SHIELD. Hee hee. Director Fury, I would like to say that I may know something about your SHIELD. Except for the female captain who travels back and forth across the universe, you seem to have no other means to bring me any threat. Do you still want to rely on that spaceship in space? Su Ming said with a half smile, and then he also assumed the same posture as Fury, and the two looked at each other. As for Fury, he was already a little panicked when he heard Su Ming mention the female captain. Carol Danvers is an absolute secret in SHIELD. Even Natasha Romanoff doesn't know how the man in front of her knows. And that ship in space he was talking about. This was a top-secret mission, and he had never mentioned it to anyone except himself. Why did Su Ming know the same thing? Fury, who originally had a detailed plan in mind, is now confused. Mainly because all the information Su Ming mentioned is SHIELD's top secret, except for him, the director. Other agents have no access to this information. But these top secret information were just revealed by the person in front of him. At this moment, Fury's plan was completely disrupted. What else do you know? Fury immediately approached the table in front of him and asked solemnly. I wonder if Director Fury is familiar with Pegasus and Insight. Su Ming picked up the wine glass and asked with a smile. Hiss. Upon hearing the words Pegasus and Insight, Fury's face instantly became serious. These are the two most important plans at the moment. How could this kid know about them? Fury felt like he shouldn't be here. Tell me, what do you want? The offensive and defensive momentum changed at this moment. It's very simple. Just agree to 3 conditions. Su Ming stated calmly. 3 conditions. Haha, you kid has a big appetite. Fury sneered, his already dark face looking even darker now. First tell me what your conditions are. Fury crossed his arms as he spoke, lost in thought. First of all, no matter what I do in the future, SHIELD is not allowed to interfere. That's no problem, but I have to attach a condition. Anything you do cannot bring disaster to human society. No problem. Besides, do you think of me as one of those criminals? Do you think I am the kind of person who would do something harmful to society? Su Ming spread his hands, showing how could I be a bad guy. It's a pity that everyone remembers that he just pulled out the head and spine of an adult strong man just a few minutes ago. This doesn't seem like something decent could do. Second, if others come to offend me and cause damage to public facilities in society, SHIELD will be responsible for all this. When Su Ming proposed this condition, Fury's expression darkened visibly. Isn't this condition a bit excessive? Fury said almost through gritted teeth. As the director of SHIELD, this was the first time he suffered such a loss. Actually, it's okay. My 3rd condition may be a bit excessive. Su Ming said with a smile. Oh. Then I'm a little curious. Looking at the extremely cunning young man in front of him, Fury really wanted to shoot him. But when he thought of Su Ming's terrifying recovery ability, he felt powerless. 3rd, Agent Natasha Romanoff may have to stay in my tavern. Impossible. Upon hearing this condition, Fury almost shouted. Agent Natasha Romanoff is our senior agent of SHIELD. There is no way she can stay in your tavern. You'd better change this condition. Fury said with a livid expression. Sorry, Director Fury, I signed an agreement with Agent Natasha Romanoff before. It's just that this agreement doesn't seem to be an ordinary agreement. Su Ming said as he took out the work agreement signed with Natasha Romanoff at that time. It's just that what seemed like an ordinary agreement at the beginning has now turned into an agreement written on parchment. Even Natasha Romanoff herself is very confused about this. Do you want to restrain an agent with this small agreement? Do you take this agreement too seriously? Fury looked at the agreement handed over by Su Ming and sneered at it. Their shield agent broke many agreements in order to complete the task. If it's an ordinary agreement, I really can't help it. But the agreement in my hand seems to be a magic contract. Su Ming looked at Fury with a smile. Magic. You're not joking. Why, is it possible that you can still swing around with a stick like the TV show? Fury obviously didn't believe in the magical contract Su Ming said. In this regard, Su Ming could only show it to him helplessly. Then, he snapped his fingers, and Natasha Romanoff suddenly snorted. Then she felt something was wrong. First there was a feeling of heat in her lower abdomen, as if some kind of pattern had been imprinted on her lower abdomen. Then she felt an unusual heat coming from her lower abdomen, as if some kind of pattern had been imprinted on her lower abdomen. This heat quickly spread throughout her body, and she was horrified to find that her body had involuntarily stood up, knelt down in front of Su Ming, and said, "Master, I will obey all your orders." Everyone looked at the shocking scene in front of them, and Fury was even dumbfounded. Natasha Romanoff, what are you doing? Stand up quickly. No matter how Fury calls to each other, Natasha Romanoff is like a robot at the moment and has no response to Fury's call. Crack. At the critical moment, Fury suddenly took out his pistol and pointed it at Su Ming's head. What on earth did you do? The current situation has made Fury a little confused. How did a top agent under his own become the other party's person? Director Fury, didn't I say so? This is a magic contract. Unfortunately for me, I know a little bit about the legendary magic. Su Ming said with a sly expression. In fact, this contract is an item he obtained through daily sign-ins when he first traveled through time. It is called the Succubus contract. Succubus contract. Anyone who signs this contract will unconditionally obey all instructions of the host when hearing special instructions. Which finger snap was the special condition set by Su Ming? Looking at Natasha Romanoff in front of him, Fury felt reluctant to believe it, but in the face of this situation, he could only choose to believe it. Fury roared helplessly. I need to go back and discuss your conditions with the board of directors. I can't make the decision by myself. Fury said with a gloomy expression. Okay, I hope I can wait for the good news from the director. Su Ming said with a smile. In response, Fury snorted and stood up to leave. Just before he left, Su Ming suddenly said. Director Fury, remind you, be careful of Snake Shield. Snake Shield. What does this mean? Fury asked over his shoulder. You will know from now on. Su Ming had a mysterious look on his face. Snake Shield. What on earth does this guy mean? Inside the black off-road vehicle, Fury frowned and pondered Su Ming's last words. In the tavern, as Fury left, Su Ming gently snapped his fingers again. Natasha Romanoff's body returned to normal instantly. She looked at Su Ming with complex eyes, as if she wanted to question him with 1,000 words. But when he thought that S.H.I.E.L.D. had conducted surveillance on Su Ming first, those words stuck in his throat. Su Ming didn't pay attention to Natasha Romanoff's behavior. He was thinking about 3 important things in his mind. The first thing is about S.H.I.E.L.D. It seems that it has been dealt with now. We just need to wait for Fury's reply. The second thing was about Bullseye. The moment he saw Bullseye, Su Ming knew in his heart that he had been noticed by Jin Bin. It's just that he doesn't have much interaction with him. As long as the other person messes with him because he has nothing to do, he doesn't mind letting the other person be the underworld emperor for a few more days. The third thing is about the Hand Association. Since he has offended the Hand Association now, it is better to offend the Hand Association to the end and find an opportunity to directly remove the Hand Association. So as not to cause inconvenience to your life in the future. Therefore, his next goal is to eradicate the Hand. Late at night, New York City is like a noble lady who has taken off her busy makeup during the day, lying quietly in the embrace of the night. The neon lights are still flashing, but compared to the hustle and bustle of the day, they are more like the sparse stars in the night sky at this moment, covering this city that never sleeps with a soft and mysterious veil. After properly resolving a series of disturbances caused by Matt, Natasha Romanoff and others, Su Ming decided to take a short vacation for himself and rest for a few days. Being immersed in the whirlpool of fighting all day long has made him tired and longing for a bit of peace and leisure. At midnight, the lights outside the tavern were dim, and Suming and Emma were standing side by side next to a cool black sports car, discussing their way of traveling. Although many women are attracted by luxury cars and mansions, for Emma, who has been associated with these luxury items since childhood, they have lost their unique appeal. On the contrary, she was full of curiosity and yearning for Suming's flying ability. Deep down in her heart, she longs to experience the unfettered sense of freedom soaring into the sky. It is a pleasure and release that no luxury car can match. Emma, are you really sure you want me to carry you and fly to the beach? Suming's eyes fell on Emma standing next to him. Tonight, for this special trip, she specially put on a tight hip-hugging skirt, which vividly outlined her graceful figure. Under the hem of the skirt, her curves are exquisite, and every part of her body perfectly displays the softness and strength of women. She is undoubtedly an amazing romantic beauty. Suming originally planned to drive his sports car and take her to an elegant restaurant on the beach as a warm reward for her recent hard work. However, to his surprise, Emma made a more exciting proposal, that is, she hoped that he could hold her and experience the feeling of flying together. Faced with this innocent and slightly provocative request, how could Suming have the heart to refuse? I have decided that I want to experience the freedom of flying personally. Emma opened her arms as if to embrace the entire night sky, her face filled with endless yearning for the unknown world. From the day she started working in the pub, she gradually realized the true meaning of life. She realized that the meaning of life is to be able to get rid of constraints, live freely, not be trapped by prejudice, and breathe freely in this vast world with an equal and normal identity. My dream was to become a teacher, to open a school, to cultivate children with special abilities, and to provide them with care and a soil for growth. So now, a new vision has been added to her heart, which is to follow her boss forever. During this period of time, the strength and charm that Suming had shown not only deeply conquered her heart, but also ignited the deepest lust in her heart. Let me ask you, when a handsome man with 8-pack abs walks in front of you day after day, and occasionally performs an inadvertent drama of exploding clothes, how many women can resist this temptation and maintain inner peace? Emma was no exception. On countless dark nights, Emma relied on her own special ability to construct a figure of Suming in her mind to solve her own physiological needs. It's a pity that Suming always presents himself with a detached and indifferent attitude, as if he is a legendary eminent monk who is indifferent to everything in this world. Although he often asked himself to put on various strange costumes, he never made any cross-border move towards her, and never even said a trace of ambiguous words. This kind of performance once made Emma suspicious, and she began to wonder whether her charm was not as good as before. After all, in this world full of temptations, she thought she was an eye-catching woman, but Suming's indifference made her feel a little confused and frustrated. However, what Emma didn't know was that Suming had already been deeply attracted to her. However, a series of recent events have come like a flood, leaving him no time to care about anything else, let alone his personal emotional world. He has been waiting for the right moment, an opportunity for the big bad wolf to eat up the little white rabbit. Now this opportunity has come. Suming gently held Emma's slender waist, and their body temperatures blended quietly at this moment, conveying wordless affection to each other. Although Emma was prepared in her heart, when Suming's real touch came, her heartbeat accelerated involuntarily, as if it was about to jump out of her chest. She nestled against Suming's solid chest, hearing his steady and powerful heartbeat. This rhythm made her feel more at ease and intoxicated than ever before. Inadvertently, Emma seemed to be surrounded by an inexplicable force, making her feel like she was about to lose herself, as if she was in a dream. Suming, on the other hand, relied on the power of the phoenix to slowly fly into the sky. He did not choose to use the quick method of teleportation, but preferred to cherish this precious time with Emma and enjoy this rare intimacy, peaceful. In the night sky, they flew slowly, like two stars leaning against each other, exploring the vast universe together. At this moment, time seemed to stand still, leaving only their mutual heartbeats and breathing, intertwined into a beautiful piece of music, echoing in the endless night sky. After a while, Suming and Emma arrived at the beachside restaurant he had carefully selected in advance. This is a high-end restaurant that implements a VIP membership system. The threshold is so high that even the lowest level member needs to have at least 50 million in assets in New York City to join. The membership identity used by Su Ming was borrowed from his friend Tony. In Tony's eyes, the food in this restaurant may not be as delicious as a simple cheeseburger, but it is better than the romantic atmosphere, which is very suitable for couples to have dinner together. He occasionally brings Pepper here to enjoy the world of two people. Welcome, distinguished Mr. Su Ming. Outside the restaurant, the boss has been waiting for a long time, with a warm smile on his face. Not long ago, he received a personal call from Mr. Tony Stark, informing his friend that he was about to come to the restaurant for a meal, and emphasized that he should be entertained with the highest standards of courtesy. Naturally, the restaurant owner did not dare to neglect such a request. He showed great enthusiasm and sincerity just to ensure that Su Ming and Emma's dining experience would be perfect. Hello, Mr. Nick. Su Ming nodded gently to the restaurant owner. Then, under the respectful guidance of the restaurant owner, the three of them entered the dining room reserved for tonight. The indoor lighting is soft and warm, neither dazzling nor dim, creating just the right amount of comfort. On the dining table, the elegant candlelight swayed gently, reflecting the gorgeous luster of the exquisite dishes on the silver tableware. Every dish was as pleasing to the eye as a work of art. Su Ming and Emma were immersed in the ocean of delicious food, savoring the delicacy and richness of every bite. After dinner, the two walked hand in hand to the beach, enjoying the caress of the sea breeze and the tranquility of the night. Emma playfully took off her high heels and let her delicate feet run freely on the soft beach, feeling the delicate and subtle friction between the fine sand and her skin, with a happy smile on her face. Su Ming followed Emma silently, watching her every move with gentle eyes, his heart filled with infinite appreciation and love for this beautiful woman. At the critical moment, Su Ming appeared behind her like a guardian angel and held her firmly in his arms. Looking at the man in front of her, Emma finally couldn't help it. She put her arms around Su Ming's neck and kissed the red lips she had longed for. As their eyes met, the emotions in Emma's heart surged out like a tidal wave. She could no longer suppress her inner desire and bravely stretched out her hands to gently wrap around Su Ming's neck. Then, without hesitation, she approached the red lips that lingered in her dreams countless times and gave her a passionate kiss. Regarding Emma's sudden behavior, Su Ming was a little shocked at first, as if he was hit by the sudden happiness. But soon, he recovered from this brief daze and devoted himself wholeheartedly to this sweet battle. Their tongues chased each other in each other's mouths, like a beautiful dance. After a long time, their lips parted, and Emma's pretty face turned red. Just as the two of them spoke, the sound of eating suddenly came from the side. Su Ming looked back and saw Tony wearing a mecha, sitting on a rock. And in his hand was half an orange. When Tony noticed that Su Ming and Emma suddenly stopped and their eyes were all focused on him, he looked around and saw nothing wrong. Tisk, 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 you two continue, don't interrupt yaxing because of me, just treat me as if I don't exist at all. Oh, by the way, Sue, I think you can be a little more aggressive at times like this. Believe me, Miss Emma's experience will definitely be more wonderful. Tony said with a smile, seemingly unaware of how unexpected his presence was. As the most famous playboy in the United States, he knows best how to turn women on. As a well-known playboy in the United States, Tony is very knowledgeable and experienced in how to mobilize women's emotions and stimulate their passion. However, at this moment, he was completely unaware that his existence had hindered the two of them. Looking at Tony, who wanted to continue watching the show, Su Ming really wanted to throw him back to Afghanistan. Call out. Su Ming held Emma's slim waist and appeared beside Tony in a flash. Tell me, why are you looking for me so late at night? Su Ming looked at Tony with an unkind expression. If it weren't for his good temper, he would really want to beat this guy up. When Tony saw this, not only did he not take it seriously, but he deliberately showed off in front of Su Ming. He walked slowly around the circle, raising his chest and head from time to time, as if he wanted to show off some great secret. How could Su Ming not see Tony's little thoughts? He was clearly showing off the new element he had just discovered. However, Su Ming deliberately pretended to turn a blind eye and allowed Tony to perform alone. Finally, Tony couldn't restrain his inner pride and reached out to gently tap the glimmering triangular reactor on his chest, seemingly silently declaring his achievement. Seeing Tony's stinky look, Su Ming's inner unhappiness also dissipated. Hey, look, the light from the reactor on your chest seems to have been upgraded. It seems to be more dazzling than before. Su Ming pretended to be very surprised and joked. Seeing this, Tony coughed twice in a pretentious manner, his eyes flashed with excitement, and announced. After a day of unremitting efforts, I have broken through and implemented the new element model you proposed in the tavern. Now, I have successfully replaced the original palladium element with this innovative element. Tony's face bloomed with a happy smile. This joy came from deep in his heart and was a sincere celebration of the rebirth of life. After all, no matter who you are, after experiencing the struggle on the edge of life and death, you will deeply understand the incomparable preciousness of life. What's more, Tony has survived 2 disasters, and he understands the value of life even more. Otherwise, he would not have closed down the weapons research and development department, because he discovered the truly irreplaceable value of human life. Just as Tony was about to continue showing off his newfound element, he was interrupted by a message from Jarvis. Sir, there is currently an extremely fierce battle taking place in Harlem. Please ask if we need to go to provide assistance immediately. As soon as Jarvis finished speaking, a projection appeared in front of everyone through Tony's latest Mecha Mark 6. In the picture, flames are raging, and the streets are filled with panic. Passers-by scream in terror and look for cover everywhere, as if they are in a sudden terrorist attack. If it weren't for the 2 eye-catching green giants, this scene might have been mistaken for some kind of extreme horror event. Speaking of these 2 giants, one wears the beautiful country's super shorts, which always remain intact no matter how fierce the battle. The other one is completely naked, with nothing on his lower body, not even kunkan. His body surface is covered with sharp protrusions, which makes him look particularly unique. The 2 seemed to be unwilling to give in, and they were fighting with fists and kicks, launching a close contest. However, the battle situation changed rapidly. The giant without kunkan suddenly showed amazing strength and launched a fierce offensive against the giant in shorts. For a time, the giant in shorts seemed to be stretched thin and fell into a disadvantage. Seeing this scene, Su Ming knew that this was a duel between Hulk and Abomination. Even without Tony's help, Hulk would eventually defeat the Abomination by exploding his seed. However, now Tony obviously wants to show off his latest masterpiece. So he planned to go to support without hesitation. Hey, Sue, I'm going to go over and see what's going on. Do you want to come with me? Tony asked Su Ming on the side, but unfortunately he didn't wait for a response. When he turned around to look, he saw that Su Ming had already flown into the sky, ready to set off. This guy wants to steal my spotlight. Without saying a word, Tony immediately turned on the engine armor's propeller, turned the horsepower to maximum, and began to pursue Su Ming with all his strength. After a few minutes, following a roar, Su Ming and Tony landed on a roof one after another. Oh my god, what kind of monster are you? Your flying speed has exceeded the speed of sound. Are you a monster? Tony landed next to Su Ming, took off his mask, and looked at Su Ming with the eyes of a monster. Low-key, these are basic operations. Su Ming ignored Tony's complaints and began to concentrate on observing Hulk's battle with Abomination. Su Ming had no intention of intervening in the fight between the 2 of them. He came here just to have a piece of cake. Because he already knew the plot, there was no need for him to act cool. It's just that Tony is obviously very itchy and wants to test the latest performance of his mecha. He drove his Mark 6 and soon came to the top of Hulk and Abomination. Hey, 2 big guys, this is not the place for you to wrestle. If you want to wrestle, I suggest you find another place. Tony hovered above Hulk and Abomination, speaking through the mecha's loudspeaker device. The people in Harlem were surprised at Tony's arrival at first, but when they saw who it was, they began to cheer. You know, according to the propaganda of several major media, Tony Stark, also known as Iron Man, is now the protector of the beautiful country. Wherever he appears, it means that the disputes here will soon end. No matter you are an evil force or a super criminal, you have nothing to hide from Iron Man. However, the 2 big guys today obviously didn't like Tony. The two green giants, who were already anxious, grabbed the wreckage of the car next to them and threw it towards Tony. As for Su Ming, who was standing on the top of the building, watching Tony flying around in the air like a joker, he was no longer able to complain in his heart. Suddenly, Su Ming heard the voice of a person beside him. He turned around and saw a bald dwarf standing on his side. Good guy, it's none other than the super race in the Marvel Universe, the Observers. Observers belong to the oldest race in the universe, a race that observes and records but never interferes with any major events. It is said that the Observer race was born when the universe was born. Because they live longer than all living things in the universe, the Observers have knowledge and technology that are hundreds of billions of years ahead of other universes. Precisely because they have knowledge and technology that are hundreds of billions of years ahead of other universes, observers believe that they should be the guardians of the universe. They want to help other races develop and evolve, thus interfering with other races and evolution. The result of this is that this race will accelerate its corruption and lead to its demise. After several genocide incidents, the observers learned that although they have great power, they should not interfere in the affairs of the universe. From then on, observers only observed and recorded various major events in the universe. Wherever a big event occurs in the universe, observers will appear. Their appearance will be very sudden, and ordinary wars cannot attract them, but they will inevitably appear in some major events that can affect the development of a universe. They are the most fun-loving people in the universe. They are present in all major events, but they never interfere. The jurisdiction managed by each observer is different. As for the observers on Earth, they are always intervening in events, the intervener frog. At this moment, Frog 2 was standing next to Su Ming, recording the major events that were about to happen. Good and evil are reversed, the axis is switched, and the beginning of the event begins from here. Frog 2 clasped his hands in front of him, quietly watching the special event that was about to happen in front of him. Su Ming looked at the big man beside him with a confused expression. What are you talking about? Good and evil are reversed, the axis is switched, and the beginning of the incident begins from this. What does this mean? Su Ming looked at the observer frog picture and asked the question in his mind. He still has some understanding of the observer, and there must be no good things happening with this guy. He is considered a broom star. Whenever he appears, something bad will happen. Frog 2 looked at Su Ming in disbelief. He did not expect that this space traveler could actually see him. But as an observer, someone who has experienced strong winds and waves, he quickly calmed down. Can you see me? Frog 2 looked at Su Ming, as if he didn't believe that he had been discovered. Please, you are standing next to me alive and saying some strange words. I'm not deaf or blind, how could I not see you? Su Ming said helplessly. Interesting. As expected of space travelers, you do have something that others don't have. A smile appeared on Watuyi's face, as if he knew Su Ming's identity very well. Etc. What is a space traveler? Hearing Frog 2 talk about this space traveler, Su Ming had a vague premonition in his heart, but he couldn't be sure. Facing Su Ming's question, Watu said calmly. Young man, do you know that the universe is not single? Since the fall of the first firmament, the universe has been diverse. And you are passers-by traveling between every universe. You possess extremely special abilities. These abilities do not even belong to this world. But you can bring it into the world and change the world. Frog 2 looked at Su Ming with a smile, as if he knew Su Ming's identity very well. As for Su Ming, after hearing Frog 2's explanation, his hair stood on end. Isn't this equivalent to the fact that one's identity as a time traveler has been revealed by observers? Is this some foul play? Su Ming felt a little confused. As a time traveler, he was caught by the natives. What should he do? You know about me. Su Ming pointed at himself and did not continue speaking. Yes, I know. Frog 2 smiled and nodded. Hiss. The moment it was confirmed that Frog 2 knew his identity, the phoenix power in Su Ming's body instantly started working at full capacity to prevent something special from happening. Young man, there is no need to be nervous. Looking at Su Ming, who looked nervous, Watu comforted him. You have to know that there are many travelers like you in other universes. We only record and observe, and we don't interfere in anything. Frog 2 opened his palms to show that he had no ill intentions. Even after hearing Watu's explanation, Suming still looked at him cautiously. After all, it feels very uncomfortable to be seen through by someone at a glance. Huh, that means you have known about me since the moment I came into this world. Suming looked at the frog picture and asked with some disbelief. Yes. Frog 2 nodded and responded to the other party. Oh my god. In other words, the gods of death, eternity, infinity and annihilation will also know my existence. Suming felt a little numb on his scalp at this moment. If he was targeted by these gods, he would really not be able to fight him now. After hearing the names of these 4 gods, Frog 2 was silent for a while, and then he spoke. To be precise, they will feel it, but they are the rules and dimensions of the universe. Even if I feel you, I won't take any action against you, because when you come to this world, you have already become part of the rules of this world. These 4 gods are all supreme gods. They have no emotions and only care about the existence and disappearance of the universe. After hearing Frog 2's explanation, Suming secretly breathed a sigh of relief. However, he still felt a little uncomfortable when he thought about his identity as a time traveler being discovered. By the way, your appearance usually means something serious will happen here. Don't tell me, can a fight between 2 fat green men affect everything in the future? Suming looked at the frog picture and asked the question in his heart. He really couldn't imagine the impact Hulk and Abomination could have. Frog 2 did not respond to Suming's question. Instead, he silently looked at Hulk, Abomination, and the Mecha Man flying around in the sky. During the period when Suming was communicating with Frog 2, the battle between Hulk and Abomination had entered a fever pitch. As for Tony, unfortunately, he was thrown out by the 2 fat green men. In addition, Tony has not developed Veronica yet, so he is still a bit underwhelmed in front of the 2 fat green guys. Originally, according to the normal plot, Ross helped Hulk. Abomination knocked General Ross's plane out of the sky with his backhand, and then Hulk saved Ross and defeated Abomination and it ended. But things didn't go as planned, and the plane did land from the sky. But this time Abomination did not fight Hulk first, but brought General Ross and Hulk's girlfriend Betty out of the plane. Abomination held their necks tightly and said with a ferocious smile, "Hulk, you don't deserve such powerful power." Crack. With a soft sound, Betty's neck was easily broken by Abomination. No. Ross and Hulk screamed in grief at the same time. As for Suming on the roof, he was completely confused at this moment. What the hell is this? No. The moment he witnessed Betty's death, the anger in Hulk's heart erupted like a volcano, completely swallowing up his sanity. The muscles all over his body collided violently again, and his body suddenly became more majestic, far beyond the abominable figure. Boom. Like a furious giant beast, Hulk rushed over, knocked Abomination away, and snatched Betty's cold body from its claws. Looking at his lover who was no longer breathing and whose body temperature was gradually dissipating in his arms, Hulk's inner anger reached an unprecedented peak at this moment. Roar. He looked up to the sky and roared, and the earth-shaking roar seemed to be an accusation against the injustice of fate and an endless questioning of the sky. Betty. Betty. Hulk held Betty's body tightly in his arms. This was the woman he loved most in his life, but she died in front of him because of his own reasons. If she had failed to show off and chosen to be taken away by Ross, would Betty not have died? If she could be stronger, strong enough to crush her opponents, would Betty be safe? If he had not been exposed to gamma rays, would he have entered into marriage with Betty, and would they have had children? Endless regret and self-blame surged like a tide, flooding Hulk's heart. An evil thought filled Hulk's heart, that is, hatred. If it weren't for Ross, he wouldn't have to hide. If it weren't for hatred, Betty wouldn't have died. He hates it and wants both of them to die. Boom. A more terrifying and evil force burst out from Hulk. The sky seemed to respond to the call of this power. Dark clouds gathered quickly, and an ominous undercurrent rolled in. It seemed that some unknown disaster was brewing. Behind Hulk, a deep green portal quietly appeared. It seemed to be connected to the abyss of another world, with countless twisted resentments and pain hidden behind it. Vaguely, from the depths of the door, there were waves of heart-stopping whispers. They are vague, but they seem to contain some ancient and evil power, trying to break through the boundaries and invade this reality. I opened my mouth countless times and howled. I destroy with countless hands. They are each their own, but they are also all me. My weapon is hatred. A face beyond imagination, difficult to describe in human words, appeared behind Hulk's back. That face revealed endless chaos and madness, as if a terrifying existence from the deepest depths of the abyss was trying its best to break free from the shackles of this strange and unpredictable green portal and descend into this world. Looking at the indescribable face behind Hulk, Su Ming seemed to understand why the observer appeared. Because he thought that Hulk's identity was not simple, and the exposure to gamma rays was not accidental. Even the birth of Hulk was not an accident. There was an invisible thug controlling everything. That is the opposite of OAA, Oba. Under all things, he is the darkness and filth at the bottom of the universe. However, they refused to become one, devoured and fought with each other, and finally became the Oba under all things. OAA is above all things, while Oba is below all things. This also makes him lower than any life, so he has been trapped in hell. But once he is allowed to escape, he will bring real hell to this world. At this moment, Hulk has opened the door to hell because of the anger and hatred in his heart. All things are struggling to stand out from the portal, and Hulk in front of him is his most perfect body. Come on, accept me. As long as you accept me, you can have the most powerful and terrifying power in the world. Everyone who stands in your way will be wiped out by us. In Hulk's heart, there is an indescribable thing that is trying to lure Banner's remaining sanity. Looking at the indescribable thing in front of him, the desperate Banner seemed to grasp the last straw. Can you really help me? Banner knelt in front of everything and expressed the questions in his heart. Hey, Banner, look at me, as long as you accept me, there is nothing we can't do in this world. Even this universe is just a toy in front of us. Under all things said, painting a picture of the destruction of the world in front of Banner. No, I don't need these, I just want Rose and Abomination to die. Banner's eyes radiated with hatred, staring under everything. Oh, ho ho ho, poor kid. Hate is our strongest weapon. So what are you still hesitating about? Come on, let me out, and you can achieve what you want in your heart. Everything underneath continues to tempt Banner. He even described a scene of Betty being resurrected in front of Banner. As long as he comes to Banner's body, resurrecting Betty is simply simple. Looking at the beautiful future depicted under everything, the remaining trace of reason in Banner's heart disappeared at this moment. Come on, give me all your power. With Banner roaring in his heart, countless evil powers suddenly poured out of the green portal behind Hulk. This power brings together all the negative emotions and desires in the world, hatred, violence, greed, lust. They surge like a tide and never flow into Hulk's body. Hulk, who originally swelled to the limit due to anger, gradually shrank under the erosion of this evil force, and finally transformed into a skinny, emaciated and terrifying monster. His eyes were flashing with madness and evil, as if they were two dark fires about to explode. At this critical moment, a dazzling golden light suddenly descended from the sky, like the sharp blade of the gods, instantly cutting off the evil power pouring out of the portal. Facing the Hulk who had been swallowed by evil power, Su Ming did not hesitate to activate his phoenix power to the extreme. Golden flames burned blazingly on his body, like an eternal dawn, illuminating the surroundings. Dark. He did think of the underworld just now, but what he didn't expect was that the underworld would take over Hulk's body so quickly. If he hadn't reacted quickly, I'm afraid 10,000 things would take this opportunity to become even more powerful and difficult to contain. Feeling that his power was blocked by this sudden golden light, Wanshixia turned his attention to Su Ming. From his body burning with golden flames, the breath of destruction and rebirth was felt under everything. This breath not only made him feel familiar, but also made him greedy, as if it was the delicious food he had always longed for. Just when the two were at war with each other, a classic portal appeared next to Su Ming. Then an old man wearing a purple robe walked out. The moment he saw the visitor, Su Ming said the quintessence of the Chinese nation in his heart, romance you. The visitor turned out to be the old man Ancient One. The strength of the old man Ancient One is completely different from the strength of Ancient One in the movie. It can be said that one is in the sky and the other is underground. The Ancient One in the movie may die, but the old man Ancient One is completely different. After he lost his body, his soul directly followed the eternal God. Not to mention that before he died, he often traveled freely between universes. To him, the timeline is just a little trick that he can easily master. There are also Domu, Mephisto, these leaders of the dark dimension. Other magicians may have to pay a heavy price to learn dark magic. When creditors from the dark dimension come to collect debts, they often have no choice but to hand over some of their belongings. But the old man, Ancient One, was different. He grabbed it directly. If any creditor dares to come to collect debt, sorry, he is just a big-eared person. If this is not enough to solve the problem, then just block the door and beat you at the door. This is the strength of the old man Ancient One. He can be said to be the well-deserved supreme mage and guardian of the earth. Even after his death, he will appear as a soul to help Doctor Strange in some major events. Did you do this thing? The Ancient One first glanced at the thin banner who was glowing green, then looked at Su Ming aside and expressed his doubts. In response to this, Su Ming could only helplessly spread his hands and said helplessly, "Don't look at me. This guy has nothing to do with me. I'm just here to watch the fun." Hearing Su Ming's answer, Ancient One nodded slowly, but it could be seen from his frown that Oba was indeed a difficult problem for him. "This guy is a bit tricky," Ancient One whispered. Before he finished speaking, he clasped his hands, and the legendary ring of Ragador suddenly appeared on his hands. Seeing the Ancient One looking like he was preparing for close combat, Su Ming felt a little dizzy. "You are an old man who is hundreds of years old. Instead of just standing there and facing the waves, why are you imitating other young people and rushing forward to fight for your life? Does every mage have a melee dream? It's a pity that Zhang is still old and hot." Ancient One just made a feint, purely to show off his skills. He casually combined the rings in his hands into one, instantly forming a brand new magic circle. Immediately afterwards, a powerful magic shock spurted out from the magic circle and went straight towards Oba Hulk. Facing this surging attack, Oba Hulk showed no fear. On the contrary, his evil eyes revealed an almost crazy look. Come on, come on. He roared and opened his mouth at the same time, like a bottomless black hole leading to an endless abyss. The magical blast released by the Ancient One was swallowed up by him. Seeing this scene, Ancient One couldn't help but frown slightly. This was the first time he encountered an evil being that could directly swallow his magical attacks. Even powerful beings such as Domu, the Lord of the Dark Dimension, must defend themselves against his attacks. But the evil thing in front of him can directly swallow it, which is really incredible. What the hell is this? Ancient One murmured to himself. He was meditating in the quiet place of Karma Taj, immersed in deep meditation. However, when he was halfway through his practice, a sudden evil force suddenly shook the peace of the earth and interrupted his practice. Immediately, he quickly mobilized the power of magic and began to explore the source of this evil power. Soon, he discovered the existence of Oba Hulk. At first, he thought this was just the evil deeds of a certain dark dimension lord possessing the world. The Ancient One is no stranger to the lords of the dark dimension. He knew their respective moves and energies very well. However, when all his magic attacks were swallowed up by Oba Hulk, he realized that this opponent was anything but ordinary. Not only that, the feeling brought to him by this guy in front of him was even several times more evil than that of Domu and other lords. It seems to be a collection of evil, bringing together all the sin and darkness in the world. When Ancient One showed doubts, Su Ming hurriedly stepped forward with unquestionable firmness in his tone. Master, I may be able to provide some clues about this existence. Su Ming said very confidently. Oh. The Ancient One raised his eyebrows slightly, becoming interested in Su Ming's words. After all, Su Ming is the host of the Phoenix Power, and his knowledge and experience are extraordinary. It's relatively clear. Can you tell me about it? The Ancient One's curiosity was aroused, and he couldn't wait to understand the roots of this evil existence. Although the two were communicating verbally, the movements of their hands did not stop at all. While they continued to launch attacks on Oba, they exchanged information closely. After Su Ming's detailed explanation, Ancient One finally understood the true origin of Oba. His eyes became more solemn. If the Oba completely descended on the Earth, not only would the Earth face an unprecedented crisis, but the entire multi-universe might also fall into a desperate situation. However, during the tense exchange between Ancient One and Su Ming, Oba Hulk showed amazing mobility. By constantly dodging and devouring the attacks of the two men, he skillfully moved his body, and unknowingly got closer to the abomination. Abomination stared at the mummy-like Bruce Banner in front of him with a horrified expression, and an indescribable fear surged in his heart. He felt as if he was suppressed by an invisible force, unable to fight at all. In front of Oba Hulk, hatred feels like a weak child, facing the powerful mother body, completely unable to resist its majesty. He felt as if he was completely restrained by the other party and could not even think of resisting. This sense of powerlessness made him feel unprecedented hopelessness and fear. Bruce, please, let me go. I was just temporarily confused by the power. From now on, I will change my ways. Give me a chance. Abomination kneeled in front of Oba Hulk, mouthing various words of begging for mercy, and his survival consciousness reached its peak. But Bruce Banner's consciousness has completely sunk, and now the person controlling Bruce Banner's body is under all things. Crack. I saw Oba Hulk pinching the hateful forehead, with a crazy and ferocious smile on his face. No, you won't die, you will just merge with me and become part of us. There was a hint of joking and cruelty in Oba Hulk's voice. As soon as he finished speaking, a strong suction force came from his hand. A howl of hatred and pain suddenly sounded in everyone's ears, and the sound was full of despair and fear. In just an instant, Abomination's body quickly shriveled up and turned into a mummy. Oba Hulk smacked his lips with satisfaction, seemingly satisfied with the taste of hatred. Can anyone tell me what's going on? Just when Su Ming and Ancient One were having a headache about how to deal with the Oba, Tony returned again driving the Mark 6. Thanks for watching.